everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to be the first to congratulate the Las Vegas Raiders for being awarded the ability to host the 2020 NFL Draft. Way to go, guys. Way to go. Yes! Good afternoon and welcome to the podcast. I'm Nick Drago. Poking fun at Roger Goodell aside, the NFL Draft did go off somewhat without a hitch this week. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about that. And of course, we're going to talk about all the Tom Brady drama going on in Tampa Bay, because of course it can't be more than a week of or whatever of him being there that there can't be some type of BS drama. So stick with us, friends, because sports starts now. And welcome to the Sports Podcast with me, your host, Nick Drago. For those of you that are new to the show, welcome. I say it every week, and I love having new people here. What we like to do is talk about all the sports news and information from the previous week and give you some insight on what's going to happen over the next week, day, month. Who cares? Honestly, it's been slow go recently because there's no sports to actually go on. But we had this week the NFL Draft. Now, usually, when the NFL Draft comes on, I tune in for the first round. I stick it out until the Jets make their first pick, which is usually third or fourth, because they're terrible. And then I can just shut it off and enjoy the rest of my night. But not this time around. Oh, no. I watched it all. The 7th round, Mr. Irrelevant. I saw the entire draft because it's basically the only sport we're going to have for a little while. I need them back. So we will be talking draft tonight, of course. I had a good weekend. What about you guys? Do you have a fun time? Honestly, I'm bored out of my mind over here. There's nothing to do. Let me think. What were we working on? Nothing. I drew in my little notebook because that's about all I could do to keep myself sane. And I made my other, podcast. So if you haven't checked out our prediction of the Stanley Cup playoffs, I would highly go recommend checking that out. And you know what? If you're sitting there at home and you're thinking to yourself, how else can I enjoy some more sports entertainment and news? Super easy. All you have to do is subscribe. You can find me on SoundCloud, YouTube, Twitter, or the Facebook. Just type in your search bar, sports with Nick Drago. That whole thing, type it in. I guarantee somebody will find me. Anyone out there, somebody find me. Listen, share with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Fun times all around. So, I think that's enough about me. I don't think you want to hear about me. You want to hear about the sports, right? The sports ball. Still nothing. The NHL is highly considering coming back in July. So right now, the plan that the NHL is talking about, they would have 4 neutral sites, each one for each different division, right? It's 4 divisions. And then they would have a little mini training camp, finish out the season in those neutral sites, and then they would play the playoffs. So their expectation would be kick back off in June with training camp and games, and then July and August would most likely be dedicated to the NHL playoffs. The problem with this is that usually training camps for hockey start up again in September, so there really isn't much of a break for some of these teams, especially the ones who are going to make it to the finals. So my hope here is that maybe they start the next season a little bit later, at least to give some of those guys a month or 2 break. I don't know. Baseball is also considering starting late this year. We could be possibly seeing baseball at Christmas time, which would be interesting. NBA hasn't really made any specific announcements. They're waiting more to find out what's going to happen with testing and how they could rapidly test their players. I would imagine they'll do a similar thing to what the NHL is talking about doing, at least having some kind of games, even if there's no audience, you can still televise it, and the whole world can watch. They were talking initially about some remote states like North Dakota doing some of these games. The problem is that, yes, there's less people, less cases of coronavirus. The problem is that you also have less hotel accommodations, restaurant accommodations, because it's not just the NHL teams, it's, the writers, it's the television crew members. There's a lot of in-between staff members for these hockey teams. Equipment managers, healthcare staff all need lodging. They all need facilities to utilize. So that was some of the trouble that they ran into with trying to do these in, say, like North Carolina. I think New Hampshire. Yeah, Manchester, New Hampshire was on that list too. So I could see why it didn't work. And NFL hasn't really made any concessions just yet, except for the draft, of course. We'll get there in a second. I want to go into baseball first. And I'm so angry. I am very humanly angry about this. So the Major League Baseball made an announcement on Wednesday that it was going to before I say the suspensions, they were going to dole out punishment to the Boston Red Sox for their role in this whole sign stealing scandal. They were caught stealing signs in 2018, conveniently the same year that they won the World Series. Interesting. Were they 20? Yeah, Red Sox won it in 2018, and the Astros won it in 2017. So the Astros have already been handed their punishment. Part of that, by the way, is Alex Cora, who was suspended through the 2020 postseason because of the sign stealing with Houston, where he was the bench coach. But they also decided to suspend video replay system operator JT Watkins. He'll have no pay only through the 2020 postseason, and it's going to strip the team of its second-round draft pick. So let me get this straight, Major League Baseball. The Boston Red Sox cheat their way to a title, just like the Astros did. And trust me, the Astros got a slap on the wrist as well. Okay? These two teams cheated their way to a title. They cheated to win and barely get a slap on the wrist? A second-round draft pick? Honestly, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think of this. I think Major League Baseball should come down with some harder sanctions, ban them from a postseason. I would be more inclined with something like that, a hefty fine. Certain players shouldn't be allowed in the Hall of Fame. I'm looking at you, Altuve. They made this whole stink about the players who cheated during the steroid era. They made the whole stink about Pete Rose and the Black Sox scandal. Baseball's been marred with scandals forever. And yet, this team cheats its way to a title, and you have evidence of it, and you're doing nothing. At least with Pete Rose, the steroid guys, the Black Sox, there were some pretty heavy-handed punishments to those individuals. Pete Rose is still not allowed in the Hall of Fame, although I think minds are changing on that, and he will likely within our lifetime be admitted. And even some of the steroid guys, sure. But it's because it's been years and years and years, and people's minds have finally started to change on these things. Don't just slap them with nothing and hope we all sweep it under the rug one day. I just lose a first round pick. Why a second round pick? I don't understand that. But then the other thought is, well, this is the Boston Red Sox, so if you severely cripple them, there goes one of your largest money-making teams in the league. And the other thought, and this goes for throughout all of Major League Baseball, is sign stealing is most likely being done in every clubhouse in some way, shape, or form. This is the first time there's been a major scandal regarding sign stealing. And some of the things that came out because of this are a little bit more than we're used to. I don't think in the past they were using video replay systems or the Astros using their drums in the dugout. So this was a little bit more of a sophisticated system, and I can see that that's the reason why Major League Baseball is at least trying to nip it in the butt while also trying not to totally discourage the rest of the league from doing it. So either way, I'm a little bit upset about that. All right, while we're on the subject of New England, really this is more Tom Brady. He's not really affiliated with New England anymore, but he still kind of is. It's just people I hate. Tom Brady. Okay, where do I start? Should I start with the Gronkowski thing? Okay, so Rob Gronkowski is opting to come out of retirement, something he's been kind of wishy-washy about for the last year. Decided to come out of retirement, but only if he can be traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers so he can play more with Tom Brady. I mean, that's sweet. They're friends. Julian Edelman's probably like watching them like, I want to play with you guys. The problem I have with this, though, is Gronk chose not to come back last year. He waited, I want to say he waited 2 weeks into free agency the past season to decide he's going to retire, which really screwed over the Patriots then, because then they had trouble finding a tight end that could, fit his position. And now he could have come back for the Patriots 2 months ago and even possibly played in the playoffs with them, maybe have gotten them that win over Tennessee that they desperately needed, that may have kept Tom Brady. Probably not, because the writing was sort of on the wall, but still, the whole thing's bizarre. And then Gronkowski was on The Masked Singer, which was hilarious. If you haven't checked that out, I highly recommend it. The dude's nuts. But good for him. He's definitely stayed in football shape. He wants to be back out there and play. Totally get it. I totally get him wanting to play with Brady. Absolutely. If you're a Buccaneers fan, listen, don't hold your breath here. Gronkowski is not on the right side of 30. His last 2 years in New England, he essentially became a glorified blocker. What most people will remember, though, is some of the epic catches he had in those Super Bowl games. And so they'll ignore the regular season where he really wasn't his usual self and, was better off at just protecting Brady than actually catching passes. So Gronk isn't exactly the player he used to be. And now he's been out of football for a year, and he's going to go back out there. There are a lot of question marks. Brady himself isn't an elite passer anymore. He's absolutely above average, but he's not elite. Don't expect the world. I think he has some better weapons this year, for sure. He has some much better weapons, but I'm not expecting the world of Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, I want to talk about the NFL draft. Specifically, which teams had a really great draft and which teams kind of made you scratch your head. Dave Gettleman certainly made me scratch my head for the Giants, but it's fine. We'll get there. So let's do this. Let's just go team by team here, talk about some of the picks that they brought in. So start with the team that I think made out the best in this whole thing is the Dallas Cowboys. Grabbing CeeDee Lamb CeeDee Lamb should not have fallen as far as he did, and the fact that they got him in the first round is amazing. They also got Trevon Diggs from Alabama, the corner, who I think is going to be a huge steal, and he'll combine well with Reggie Robinson, who they also grabbed. He's the other corner they grabbed from Tulsa in the later rounds. I think the two of them together could be a lethal combo. But now you're adding CeeDee Lamb to an already dynamic offense. Him and Amari Cooper give Dak Prescott a lot of weapons to throw to, and then you also have Ezekiel Elliott on top of that. Cowboys are lining up to be the better team in this division. Yes, they shot themselves in the foot last year. I think this is going to be a slightly better season for them. The Ravens also had a really good draft as well. Patrick Queen in the first round from LSU. The Ravens have a lifetime. Their lifetime mantra is run the ball and stop the ball. You already have the running game is on point. Although adding J.K. Dobbins very much helps with that. But now you got Patrick Queen, who's going to provide some much-needed support at linebacker. I think the Ravens could be a Super Bowl favorite coming into this year. They absolutely are a favorite, but maybe over the the Mahomes. What team is that? The Chiefs? I'm just messing around. All right. The Bengals. Yeah, the Bengals, I think they had a good draft as well. Joe Burrow obviously is NFL ready. It's hard to evaluate some of these guys and how they play, how they translate into the NFL. At least he's going from one Tiger team to another, so maybe that makes him feel comfortable. I don't know. Those are the weird things that I bring up. But they also brought in T. Higgins, and Burrow's gonna have he's also from Cincinnati. Look at that. Yeah, Burrow's from Ohio, so that's kind of neat. I think he's going to do okay with the Bengals. You know, he may need a year or two to really get with it. It's really hard to evaluate these young quarterbacks coming in. Some of them do really well, some of them don't. Broncos had a great draft. Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler. KJ Hamler. The two of them are going to create a very lethal offense. Plus, they have Melvin Gordon, Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, Phillip Lindsay, Drew Lock. He has a lot of pieces to throw to, but Jerry Jeudy is going to become an absolute favorite. Him and Melvin Gordon. Dang. Honestly, I'm not sold on Drew Lock with the Broncos. I know he had some success last year. I think that he is certainly a weak point of this team. And really, if they, with a receiving core that they have, and obviously their defense is still very much competitive. They have a good defense. I think if they had an NFL-ready quarterback right now, you know, if they had gone out and, say, gotten a guy like Phillip Rivers, I think he would have slotted very well with them. But that's just me. The Vikings also got a nice receiver in Justin Jefferson. Really thought he was going to land with the Eagles, but we'll get there. Did they have 17 picks in this draft? I think they did. Yeah. Sorry, the Vikings had a very, very good draft as well. Justin Jefferson, they got Jeff Gladney from TCU, the corner. Ezra Cleveland, offensive tackle, absolutely needed him. Arizona pulled in Isaiah Simmons. And so I didn't think he was going to fall out of the top 5, and he did. He landed right into Arizona's lap. I think it was an absolute smart move for them, and the fact that they got him. The fact they got him so early, or they got him after he fell, you know what I mean. They also got Josh Jones, who a lot of people thought was kind of a steal. I think Cliff Kingsbury, he's going to have a lot of great defensive players to play around with. The Browns had a pretty good draft. Jarek Wills Jr. At offensive tackle from Alabama. They also got Greg Delpit from LSU, Jordan Elliott. I think pairing Willis with Jack Conklin is a very smart move and certainly going to help Baker Mayfield because he needs as much protection as he can get. So I think that's a really smart move. Delpit also really great player. Indianapolis Colts get Michael Pittman in the first round, receiver. They also got Jonathan Taylor. They got Julian Blackmon. And they also drafted a QB as well because Phillip Rivers is going to be there forever. They did trade their first rounder for DeForest Buckner, but I think they got some good pieces for Phillip Rivers, at least his first year. And really, the Colts are a very put together team. I think this just makes them stronger. Jacksonville Jaguars brought in C.J. Henderson. They're kind of in the middle of a rebuild on the defensive side of the ball. So bringing in C.J. Henderson, Chison. Jaguars got a bunch of players with names that I don't think the natives of Florida can even pronounce, to be honest. The natives of Jacksonville, Florida, at least. Good luck, Gardner Minshew. Tennessee Titans got Isaiah Wilson at offensive tackle. Christian Fulton from LSU, the cornerback. I think that they also got Darrington Evans from Appalachian State. He's a running back, and he's going to pair well with Derrick Henry. I think the two of them can be a really nasty combination. So, good good work for the Titans. Panthers brought in Derek Brown. Oh, God. What the hell name is that? Uter Gross Matos? I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh at it, but what the hell name is that? Sorry, Derek Brown. I was a little shocked that they picked him over Isaiah Simmons, but I think Brown is still a fantastic player, and certainly improves the defensive line. Detroit Lions bring in Jeff Okudah at cornerback. He could very well be. He was the best corner on the board. He could be one of the best in the league. He definitely has the talent, and just getting him alone pulls Detroit very high up on this list of teams who drafted pretty darn well. Miami Dolphins, of course, got Tua, QB from Alabama. They also got Austin Jackson, Noah. Oh God, I can't say that name. Igbinoghene, and Raekwon Davis. God dang it, Florida. Why do you draft these people? I would not be caught dead wearing that name on a t-shirt. Anyway, definitely getting Tua off the bat was huge for Florida. Yes, he's coming off an injury. We don't know how he's going to translate to the NFL, but this could be the best QB that Miami's had since, oh my gosh, probably Dan Marino. I can't think of any other fantastic QBs. It's all speculation at this point. The Jets had a pretty good draft as well. Yeah, Jets. Mekhi Becton, the offensive tackle. I really thought they were going to go with a guy like Lamb or Jerry Jeudy at receiver. Somebody to pair with Darnold's. But they did get a receiver in Denzel Mims in the second round, which was, I think that was a pretty big steal for them. Joe Douglas this is his first time drafting, and I'm satisfied with what they got. We have to see how this stuff translates onto the field. It's just too soon. I'm a little more critical of the Jets, I suppose. The Chargers got Justin Herbert at QB. He was the best quarterback left on the board. I don't think he's that fantastic. But at least it gives somebody for the Chargers to build around, and he'll be going from Oregon to the big city, the big lights of Los Angeles. So he's still on the coast at least. They also got Kenneth Murray. They had to trade up to get Kenneth Murray at inside linebacker. So that's helpful. New York Giants, yes, they drafted Andrew Thomas. I'm not really sure how I felt about this one. He was not the best tackle on the board, and he was the one they went with. But something they saw in him, Gettleman really wanted the guy. Xavier McKinney, Matt Pert, and Darnay Holmes were some of the other names that they that they drafted. So really focused on improving the defense, which obviously important. Well, I mean, Andrew Thomas's offensive line, you know what I mean. But more defensive weapons versus anything else. As long as they can protect Barkley, that's the real important thing, is get Saquon the ball. Don't worry about Daniel Jones. Just get Saquon the ball. He's going to carry this team like Adrian Peterson. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tristan Wirfs, huge upside. He was one of the other tackles on the board. He is going to be him and Brady are going to be very close. He's going to do a great job protecting him, I think. 49ers, they drafted Javon Kinlaw and Brandon Ayuk. Really, 49ers don't have many holes in their roster, so all they were drafting were players that I think are going to help them out. For the Chiefs, they have a similar problem. They ended up drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's a running back, and the running back that Mahomes asked for. So obviously he's going to be somebody that is a threat on the field, somebody that the team is going to build around, and I like it. I like the pick. Mahomes asked, Andy Reid delivers. So I think they're all going to work very well together. New Orleans Saints brought in Cesar Ruiz at center. They didn't have any picks in the final 4 rounds, and not a great offseason, to be honest, but it is the Saints, so you can't count them out of it. This could be Drew Brees' last season. So, yeah. Buffalo Bills brought in A.J. Epinesa, the defensive end from Iowa. Zach Moss from Utah, the running back. But, again, no first-round picks. Espinoza was a top 15 prospect, but he had a really poor combine performance. So, kind of dropped him down. So, it could be a steal. The combine isn't everything, but it's too soon to tell. Kyle Duggar was the first pick for the Patriots. They also didn't have a first-round pick. Good. Sorry, I don't like the Patriots, if you couldn't tell from anything I've said in this episode. Eagles went with a receiver right off the bat, Jalen Reagor. Again, I really thought they were going to go with Justin Jefferson, but or even, if Henry Ruggs had fallen that far, that would be nice. But Reagor, I think, will be a good. He'll be a good player for Carson to throw to. Right now their best receiver is Deshaun Jackson, and while Deshaun can be really fantastical on the field, he spent most of the season injured. So hopefully he comes back fresh next year. Chase Young, defensive end for the Redskins. That was the obvious choice, very high on the board. They didn't have a second rounder. And then who's the other guy they got? Antonio Gibson, who is kind of, he could play running back or receiver, which gives them a little bit of flexibility. But overall, the Redskins didn't have a great draft. Seattle Seahawks, their first round pick was Jordan Brooks. They've had some misses the last few years as far as draft picks goes. So hopefully Brooks will help turn things around for them. The Packers bring in Jordan Love, the QB from Utah State. Yeah, you might be thinking, why would they take a QB? Listen, Aaron Rodgers has been around a long time. They need somebody who can sit behind him and learn, much like Rodgers did for Brett Favre. Green Bay has a history of strong quarterbacks. Maybe Jordan Love is the next guy in that list. Maybe we'll be hearing about him in a few years. I don't know. Los Angeles Rams, Cam Akers was probably the best player they selected, the running back from Florida State. Rams really focused on their offense for good reason. Van Jefferson, the receiver. Wow, I didn't know this. The Rams haven't picked in the first round since 2016 and won't until 2022. Wow, that's pretty interesting. The Rams, they made it to a Super Bowl 2 years ago, so good on them for doing it without making a draft pick. But Sean McVay, he loves those offensive pieces, so anything he can get around Goff, he's going to do it. The Bears, not a great draft. Cole Kemet from Notre Dame, yep, tight end. He'll certainly help out. But the problem is that the Bears have 10 tight ends on their roster. 10. So, a little surprising. Jalen Johnson, CB, cornerback. The cornerback wasn't the best corner on the board either when they selected him. I'm not really sure. I'm just not really sure what they were thinking with those two. But, hey, whatever. Maybe they're just trying to build a whole team of tight ends. Pittsburgh Steelers, Chase Claypool at receiver. Yeah, a nice weapon for that guy. The tall guy. I'm just kidding. Big Ben to throw to. They also brought in Alex Highsmith and Anthony McFarland, the running back. So a couple offensive pieces for Ben. The Falcons brought in A.J. Terrell, Marlon Davidson from Auburn. There were a lot of surprises here. So the Falcons were really hoping to trade up and get Jeff Okudah, maybe C.J. Anderson. Didn't know what to do when they couldn't trade up, and so ended up picking Terrell. There were better players on that board. I don't know. Falcons are a mess. Ross Blacklock for the defensive tackle. Bill O'Brien. Did anybody see the video? You gotta watch the video of Bill O'Brien flipping out during the draft. Listen, Ross Blacklock, he's absolutely an immediate starter. I think he's going to do very well for the Texans. The Problem is the Texans need a cornerback, they need a tight end, they need offensive linemen. There are a lot of things this team needs. I don't know if Blacklock was filling some of their more glaring holes, but I think he'll have a fantastic year. The LA Raiders, they made a splash. Henry Ruggs is definitely a much needed offensive weapon for Derek Carr. However, they drafted a lot of receivers. In fact, three of their first 4 picks were all receivers, and the 4th was the one. So really, their top 3 picks were all receivers. This is just weird. But they got John Simpson in the 4th round, which was actually kind of a steal. So I don't know. The Raiders were very low on my list, even though I really like Ruggs. I don't think he's as good as CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy. Actually, I think Justin Jefferson. I really like him too. But yeah, so that was the draft. Those were the teams that drafted and how they did. If you have any differing opinions about anything I just said, shoot me one of those emails, sports3xpodcast@gmail.com. This is all the stuff I have to say for today, so I'm going to give you a howdy do. Special thanks, as usual, goes to Johanna Drago. She's the content designer, logo editor, and set designer. I said that wrong. Content editor, set designer, and logo designer of this podcast. She's also my wife, and I love her. Special thanks, as usual, to our social media warriors, Mary Kay and Gary Albert, along with the other fans out there. Joe Calabro always listens in, Jorge Pajares, all the fun people. And as usual, the song you hear on the show is a song called Golden Sunrise by Josh Woodward. A link to his website can be found in the show notes. If you like what you heard, find me on Soundcloud, YouTube, Twitter, and the Facebook. Just type it Sports with Nick Drago. Click that subscribe button, click that like button, comment, share, email, tweet, Twitter at me. I don't usually respond on Twitter, but do it anyway, because I love Twitter. I don't love Twitter. I don't get Twitter. I should Instagram. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do an Instagram. I don't know what I would take pictures of, though. Like, would it just be me every week sitting in this chair? Hilarious. All right, anyway, email me, sports3xpodcast@gmail.com. Folks, I am super tired. Thank you for a wonderful evening of sports talk, and I'll see you next week. Caw-caw!